Hey, what's going on, everybody? Point of attack, back with you. It's a big night for football. The 2020 NFL schedules have dropped. So even though you may have known who your opponents were, you still didn't know when you were going to play them early in the season, late in the season, whose strength of schedule is going to be tough, stuff like that. But literally, it is 8:30 Eastern time, and they just dropped the schedule half hour
Bro, you
ago.
froze. Oh, okay.
NFL Network is still doing their release show. So as they're talking about it, we're going to talk about it real quick too, and what games pop out of us, real quick. So if you look right off the bat, because we've got the schedules in front of us, Week 1 opening night, Thursday night, Chiefs open up against the Texans. So that should be a good game right off the bat. Two playoff teams from the AFC last year. So, it's going to be interesting to see what the Texans look like this year after, their GM and team kind of gave players away for very little in return. They lost their best wide receiver, but it should still be very interesting to see how they recover. They did go out in the draft and, get a wide receiver to try to replace and everything. But the Chiefs and Texans looks like it should be a good game, right off the bat. You got a lot of divisions playing each other week 1, which is pretty normal. They do that a lot. Eagles versus Redskins, always a tough game. Dolphins, Patriots, Packers, Vikings, Colts, Jags, the Browns and Ravens. That should be a very interesting game as well to see if the Browns are able to, take that next step this year. Obviously, the Ravens were a very, very good team last year with Lamar Jackson. Coincidentally, the Ravens have the easiest strength of schedule in the league, which is amazing to me that a team that was as good as they were, can have the easiest strength of schedule. Now, a lot of people don't know that your opponents are already set in stone, like 2 years prior to when you're actually going to play them. So when they originally set the stage for who was going to play who, at least the opponents, it wasn't necessarily, when one team was a powerhouse and one team was bad. It was just however it may have fallen. So when they actually came up with this schedule, with your opponents 2 years ago, obviously teams get better and also some teams decline. So just the way it fell right off the bat, the Ravens actually have the easiest strength of schedule. And funny enough, the Patriots have the hardest schedule this year. And they do it by what your opponent's win percentage was last year. So Patriots apparently have a very tough road without Brady too. So Jarrett Stidham is going to have his hands full right off the bat, where he's got the toughest schedule to play in the league. The big primetime games, obviously that Thursday night with the Chiefs and Texans. And then the other primetime games that week are going to be Sunday night, Cowboys opening up in LA against the Rams. And then they have 2 Monday night games as well, where it's going to be Steelers and Giants are going to be the early game, and then Titans and Broncos are going to be the late game on that Monday night. And I wouldn't expect that Monday night game to be all that great. I don't know how the Broncos are going to be this year. They did, pick up quite a few people, but they have a gargantuan question mark at quarterback, because you just don't know how Drew Lock's really, really going to play. So,
they did address a lot of the things on their O-line. And that was one of their biggest problems last year, was the fact that it didn't matter who was playing quarterback. They couldn't protect them. I think this year with them addressing the O-line throughout the draft and I think parts of free agency, Drew Lock might be in a position where he could be successful this year. I mean, he's got Jerry Jeudy. He already got Latimer there at the other wide receiver position. So
yeah, but that's why I said they did gear up and get a lot of players, but it's still, they have weapons. It's still going to come down to Drew Lock. The other big game that immediately jumps out on me too, 4:00 game, Cardinals. You see it, Jones? Cardinals at Niners. So that's going to be a very good game too.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, Niners are at home, so they get to start the season at home, but they are starting it against a team that we think is going to be a lot better than they were, and a team who already gave them issues last year. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see. So week one, it seems like those are going to be some of the big games that, you know, we're looking at. Cardinals, Niners, you know, Cowboys, Rams. I actually think that Niners Cardinals game could be maybe the best game that entire weekend.
Really? Over Bucks Saints? Tom Brady, Drew Brees decking it out week one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not. I said I'm not going to jump on, you know, the Tom Brady bandwagon so fast because I want to see how long it takes them to, you know, to get going. So,
oh yeah. But still, weapons are weapons, and Tom Brady actually in the weapons department got an upgrade by going to Tampa Bay.
mm-hmm.
I think the only downgrade he got is that O line and the defense.
Yeah, he sure did. Yep.
But if New Orleans has the same weakness they had last year, which was, you know, basically defending the pass, like teams could just literally pass on them at will.
Yeah.
It might be like a 35-42 type game, if not worse. You know, it might be like a San Francisco game where it's like literally like 48, 44, 43 or something crazy like that.
Don't forget the Saints defense did get much improved. So we'll see if they're still one of the, you know, that had the same recipe that they've had for quite a while now, where, you know, it's they score a bunch of points even though their defense gives up a lot. You know, they just try to outscore everybody and hope the defense can keep everybody, you know, under 28 or whatever it may
be. Yeah. So, much improved, but the scary thing about Tampa Bay is that they hit you on all three levels just about. Like they can hit you with speed with Mike Evans and go over the top of you. They get you the possession, like just inch by inch moving the chains with Godwin. You know, Godwin, I think, had, you know, if he didn't break 100 catches, he was close. You know, that dude was a prime mover. And then you got OJ Howard and Gronk. Like I said, to me is if New Orleans can generate a pass rush and attack and test that Tampa Bay offensive line. Yeah. If it gets to a point where they can't, and I don't think New Orleans was really heavy in the pass rush last year. I think it was literally like it was up to Drew Brees to tire a defense out and just after that overwhelm them.
Yeah, we said we'll be breaking down all the teams before the season comes, so that, you know, and get more in depth to this. Right now, we're just going to break down some of the games that look really, really enticing right off the bat. Going to week two, the very first game of that week is going to be a very interesting game to watch too. Thursday night, September 17th, 8:20. Joe Burrows is going to make his national primetime debut in a Thursday night game against the Browns, which, you know, should be real interesting. You're talking about, you know, a kid, Ohio kid, you know, even though it's a away game, it's still a home game because, you know, they're in Cleveland. So that's going to be a very interesting game right off the bat. You know, see how Joe looks on the primetime stage. They didn't wait long to do that. So see how that number one pick, Heisman Trophy winning quarterback looks, you know, after setting every damn record there was to be set in college football and being the best quarterback in statistically in college history. You know, see how that translates in his second week. You know, that's a big game. Plus it's a divisional game.
Yep.
And the Browns do have a pretty stout defense and a D end who likes to try and kill quarterbacks. Like legitimately, he'll try to kill you. He'll rip your helmet off and hit you with it. I've seen him do it. I've seen him do it. So that's gonna be very, very interesting.
I want to know how much Grant Delpit will actually play in that game, being that he's, you know, LSU starting safety. He's playing for Cleveland now, actually matched up against, you know, his former team quarterback and Joe Burrow on the other side.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if Joe Burrow might, you know, like stay away from him. I want to test that too much.
Yeah. Again, in week two, that Browns Bengals, you know, doesn't sound like a big game, but because of who they have playing for them now, 2 former Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks, very young teams, both trying to turn it around, divisional game. That's going to be a very, very good one. Moving through it, I don't really see anything else that like jumps off the page at you like, wow, that's going to be a really, really good game. A lot of them is just, at this point, Ravens, Texans, it's going to be depends on how the Texans look. Patriots, Seahawks too. That could be an interesting one.
Well, Ravens, Texans definitely, just for the mere fact of have the Ravens gotten over that playoff loss, and if they learned anything from it, and same thing for never mind, you said Texans, right?
Yeah, not Titans.
Never mind.
Titans.
I don't think Titans are going to be good this year.
Now, and then Monday night that week, you have the Saints and Raiders. So, depends on what Raiders team decides to play this year.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing specifically jumped off the page as far as week 2 goes. Moving on to week 3. So far, let's see. Ooh, Niners and Giants. That game kind of stuck out to me right because an early 1 o'clock game, West Coast team going to the East Coast. That could lay problems. Anybody that's watched these shows knows that there's actually a statistic out there that it's very odd, but, in this case, numbers actually don't really lie to you because for some reason, teams going from the West Coast to the East Coast to play an early 1 o'clock game because of the time difference, 73% of the time, the West Coast team will lose that game. So that'll be interesting to see if that, continues to follow that statistic just because of obviously the 49ers are going to be a much better team. We're just in the Super Bowl than the Giants, but because of the time and where they're playing, that could be an interesting game, maybe even like a trap game,
That depends on Shanahan because I just looked at their week 2 schedule again. They're playing the Jets that week, so they might just stay on the East Coast. I mean, that's at least what I know Harbaugh and them were doing. Like if they played, if they were somewhere close, they just stayed halfway and then moved over. So the fact that it's at the Jets, it's in New York, they might just hang around New York, find a practice facility, stay there, and then after the week 3 game, then go back to the West Coast.
Yeah. 2 other games.
NFL was kind of looking out for them.
Actually, I'm sorry, 3 other games jump off the page at you too, later games. Cowboys at Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be a big game. Seattle's had the Cowboys numbers past couple years. For some reason, the Cowboys actually play the Seahawks better when they play in Seattle. Go figure, because that's one of the hardest places to win. But for some reason, the Cowboys have had a pretty good run in recent years going to Seattle and playing them than rather playing them in Dallas. Packers and Saints, that's a big game. Sunday night.
Yeah.
That's a very big game with playoff implications on it. And then the Monday night game is definitely the game of the week. Chiefs and Ravens. That could quite possibly turn out to be, an AFC championship preview if it goes like it did last year and Lamar, continues to do what he did last year. I personally said I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to regress this year. But early in the season, that's a big game. Chiefs and Ravens in Baltimore. So see how Patrick Mahomes looks in prime time, as well as Lamar Jackson. So week 2 may have been a bit of a lull, but week 3 definitely has some serious games.
Yep.
Moving on to week 4. Right off the bat, doesn't look like anything crazy. Thursday night game, Broncos and Jets. Now that's kind of odd because the NFL does, even though they set the opponents, they do set up the primetime games and they'll flex them and stuff like that and move around. It's interesting to see them put the Broncos and Jets in primetime on Thursday night. So I guess, they're wanting to see Drew Lock and that new Bronco offense with going against Sam Darnold.
Mm-hmm. And they're kind of revamped, offense also.
Yep.
Mhm.
They have a whole brand new wide receiving core, pretty much, the Jets. Their number one guy left in Robbie Anderson. So, yeah, that should definitely be interesting. Another good game, Titans and Steelers.
Mhm.
That's a very good AFC game.
Mhm.
Patriots and Chiefs, 4:00 game. It's going to be a very interesting game too.
Yep.
I'm so excited to watch the Patriots play. It's like every game, every week I'm looking at who they're playing and I'm like, oh, that should be another good one because I'm very, very excited to see a Tom Brady-less Patriots team and see how they do. And Jonesy just left. Apparently he couldn't take it anymore. 49ers are playing the Eagles. He didn't want to be around for it. Eagles have a tough schedule so far. Everybody I've seen them playing right off the bat. Let's see.
Yeah. Like I
Their
said,
strength of schedule, though, they're ranked 25th, so they're actually one of the easier schedules. Oh, I'm sorry, one of the harder schedules. They're ranked 25th, so they actually have one of the. No, I was right. Other way, I was right. Yeah, no, they do have an easier schedule.
Mhm.
That's not terrible. It's weird though. First, that maybe the way they start the season is pretty tough, and it eases up for them.
I'm just happy I don't see a week 4 bye for San Francisco.
That's tough. They're always tough to have those early buys. You always want your buy to be in the middle of the year. You know, week 8, week 9, week 10. Those are definitely the best. Get your guys a rest in the middle of the season.
Yep.
Moving on to the following week, we are now in week 5, and the Thursday night game is the Bucks and Bears. So Tom Brady in prime time against Chicago, and what has normally been, a pretty stout D, even though they still have Mitch Trubisky at the helm, and he has not showed anything to make you think that anything's going to be different than it has been his first 3 years as far as playing. The one thing Chicago normally does is they get after the quarterback, and they've got one of the best linebackers on the planet in Khalil Mack. So Tom Brady better have his running shoes on that night because Khalil Mack's going to be looking to take his head off.
Him and Robert Quinn.
Yep.
Time Robert Quinn from the Rams. But I mean, I guess the ultimate question will be is week 5, will Mitch Trubisky still be the starting quarterback, or will Nick Foles taken over by then? You know what I mean? Because if they come limping out of the gate, they go 0-3. I don't see. Yeah. Sorry, I just don't see Trubisky still being the starter.
Trubisky's going to be on a very short leash. He was on a short leash last year towards the end of the year because he got yanked out of games. So I agree with you. I don't even think it would take 0-3. I think they go 0-2 and he probably gets yanked. So yeah, he's going to be on a very, very short leash. So that should actually be really interesting because say Nick Foles is the quarterback, then you actually have a Super Bowl rematch with Nick Foles versus Tom Brady on 2 different teams, both of them. So that could be real interesting to watch. Another big divisional game that week, Cowboys-Giants, 4:00 game. So that's big for both teams. You know, those games are the kind you have to win. Vikings-Seahawks for the Sunday night game. That could be a good game as well to see how the Vikings look this year.
Yep. Especially with again with Dalvin Cook in a contract year because they didn't extend him either. So he's playing for his next contract. See how he holds up.
Absolutely.
That new receiving core they have in Minnesota, or revamped, I should say.
Yeah, and granted, Stephon Diggs did leave, but they did a pretty good job of replacing him.
Yep. You know, seeing Justin Jefferson on prime time actually step in and see if they can make some noise. I mean, and also Kirk Cousins, I guess, now still has to validate his contract extension. So,
yeah. Okay. Moving on to week 6. This looks like very similar to week 2. Chiefs and Bills, though, on Thursday night. That could be a good game. The Bills have been coming on the past 2 years, winning records, stuff like that. Like, the Bills could be a very good team. So that should be very interesting, and it's in Buffalo as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a much closer game than people are thinking it will be. You got to believe Vegas is going to look at that, and right off the bat, the line in that game is probably going to be 6. The Chiefs will be giving the Bills at least 6 points in that. But the under/over, I'm thinking every Chiefs game, the under/over in the Chiefs games are going to be around 50 for every single under/over because of how much they always score. So that should be a very interesting game.
Mm-hmm.
Texans at the Titans. Now, granted, this is all predicated on the Texans being like they were last year, which losing DeAndre Hopkins is huge. I cannot stress that enough, how big that is for them, because he is such a weapon. So to lose somebody of that caliber is extremely hard to replace. So, I mean, losing that one guy could significantly affect their record. That can easily take a 10-win team and make them a 7-win team because they just can't take the top off the defense and get the ball downfield. So, that could happen. I'm hoping it doesn't because I'd like to see the Texans right there in the hunt. But either way, I don't really care. They're still the second best team in Texas.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think they cemented that role once D-Hop left. It's crazy.
Two other big games too. Your team playing the Rams on Sunday night. Big divisional game, Niners-Rams in what's the name of your new stadium? It's not Candlestick anymore?
No, Levi Stadium.
Okay. So in Levi Stadium.
Yeah, Packers-Bucks game.
Bucks, that's the other one. Yeah.
I'm gonna put it this way: the Packers are not gonna. They kind of were on cruise control last year because I mean their division was kind of in limbo to almost being weak. I'd say really the only chief competition they had was Minnesota, but the other side they played, can't remember what division it was, but I think it was the AFC South. No, can't remember. I have to look that up, but they had a kind of a softer schedule. This year looks like their schedule is tough. Like if they can seriously drop a couple games this year. Like if they're not on point, they come out the blocks slow like they kind of did last year, where Aaron Rodgers wasn't in rhythm yet. Like they can find themselves like easily at this point, like 3-3.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, because you're talking about they're having to face some tough teams. Now, the one thing I will say about the Minnesota team and their games is like they got a new OC. Stefanski is the new head coach in Cleveland. How well is he going to get this offense to gel? Because I mean, it took a while before I think Stefanski took over for Kirk Cousins to get going.
Yep. Yeah, and the later games in that week are going to be good games. Packs, Bucks, Rams, Niners, and the Cowboys and Cardinals Monday night. That could be a very interesting game as well because you got a Cowboys team that's completely a giant question mark right now. It's not going to be the same Cowboy team you've seen for the past decade. They got a bunch of new personnel and a new coaching staff. So, and the Cardinals, anybody that watched our video from yesterday knows we think they're going to be pretty solid. So that could be a very interesting game. I don't believe the Cardinals are going to be a doormat like we're used to them being. Even though 5-11 last year, we think they're turning the corner. So that week is pretty good. The later games are pretty good. Steelers and Browns too. That's a big divisional game.
Mm-hmm.
See how that rolls out. So far, I'm definitely liking it. You got some good ones. Moving on to week 7, they're starting off week 7 with a good Thursday night game, Eagles-Giants. So, another big divisional game, prime time. Wentz versus Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a good one. This looks like quite a few divisional games this week as well. Yep. Week 7, there's quite a few divisional games. Niners at Patriots. Man, they have the Niners crossing the country a lot. They got them going West Coast to East Coast a lot this year.
Well,
we're in week 7. That's already the third time they've crossed the country to play. Luckily, this is a 4:00 game, but still.
I mean, like I said, there are 2 divisions of the AFC East and NFC East. So, yeah, they're playing all Eastern teams if they're not in the division. So, yeah, it's going to – I think that's probably why they projected to have one of the tougher schedules, just because all of the cross-country flying they're going to have to do this year. Yeah. Which will be interesting. It'll be putting, like, as far as how Coach Shanahan or Mike Shanahan is going to coach that, are they going to spend a lot of time, like, in the middle of the country somewhere? Or are they going to loop games where, for example, like I said, the New York Jets, New York Giants game, because it's in New York, you just keep them there?
Well, to caveat on what you're saying, they have the 3rd hardest strength of schedule, the 49ers do. So they got a tough road ahead of them too. If they want to make it back to the Super Bowl, they're definitely going to have to earn it, because only 2 teams have a harder schedule in front of them. And it's they're 4th. Dolphins, Jets, and Patriots have harder schedules than them. But that's it. So, and that, they probably took that into consideration too, them going back and forth. So hopefully they did give you a late bye. You're going to need that break in the middle of the season.
Well, it looks like it, because it's week 7, and yeah, I've seen them in every week.
Yep.
What's crazy, man, I wonder what Buffalo did. They didn't, like you said Jets, Dolphins, Jets, Patriots. They're all in the same division.
Yeah, all in the same
Buffalo
division.
got lucky. They just couldn't pull that number 4, huh?
Yeah, and the Bills are 7th, so their entire division is in the top 7. Yep, absolutely. So that's interesting. Right off the bat, it looks like Roger Goodell was still pissed off 2 years ago at Tom Brady. Everybody knows they don't really get along so well, so he was setting up the schedule back then to be a little tougher, and now Brady's not there. So all Roger Goodell did was screw the AFC East. Week 8, Thursday Night Football, Falcons-Panthers, divisional game. We're not expecting too much out of either one of those teams, though. So, but still, divisional games are always fun to watch because they play each other tough because they know each other so well.
Mm-hmm.
So, Vikings and Packers, that's a big divisional game as well. Niners and Seahawks, week 8, another big matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 49ers schedule is no joke. So far, I feel like I mention them almost every week, like, oh, they got another tough matchup. Sunday Night Football, wow, we're in week 8. Cowboys are playing on Sunday night again. They've already had 3 games in primetime so far in the first 8 weeks. So Cowboys, Eagles in Philly Sunday night. Who's trying to go to that game? Hit me up. I'll go check that game out with you guys. 45 minutes from my house. Let's go. Go watch the Cowboys beat up on the Eagles. Knock Wentz out of the game so you Eagle fans get your wish and Jalen Hurts comes in the game. That way I get my wish too. That way you guys can see that his arm is horrendous. Guy throws like he's got Parkinson's. No offense to anybody that's got family members with Parkinson's. Obviously, I'm making a joke, but his throwing is obviously very shaky. So, and Monday night, Tom Brady again in prime time. Monday night in New York against the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be interesting. So far, the schedule is quite appealing for every week. Haven't seen one week yet where I was like, wow, not a lot of good games. You can at least pull out 2 to 3 games every week that are going to be, the ones that, all right, I need to sit down and watch this. This could be good.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, betting on these games is depending on how teams are playing. this is gonna be one of them head scratchers where like you're not gonna have. They're like the schedule is not so clear cut where you can like, okay, yeah, well I can get a solid 4 or 5 pick'em teams here. Like you're looking at the schedule and you're like, man, because like either the teams are playing each other, they're really good, or the teams are playing like they're really bad. So
Yeah.
like both teams are. It's not like just
Week,
like okay, yeah, this team gonna run over this team. It's not a whole lot of weeks like that.
no. Week
some tough
week
games in this.
week 9 starts off with a barn burner. Packers and Niners Thursday night. Packers going into Levi Stadium in San Francisco, a rematch from the playoffs last year.
Place that Aaron Rodgers has not won in yet. I don't think he's ever won at away playing San Fran.
Which is interesting. Being a California kid, you would think that he'd be, I don't know, a little more comfortable having a lot of family there to be able to watch the games and whatever it may be. Though, no, not so much. He has not had a lot of good fortune out there.
When you think about it, I mean, Aaron Rodgers does rely on that hard count a lot, and you can't use it when you're not at home. When you're at Lambeau and you can quiet the crowd down and use that hard snap, that hard count.
Yeah.
Then you go away, and then whatever, you saw how the crowds were in San Francisco last year. They're going to be just as ruckus. Like it takes that valuable weapon away from him, where he can't just count people or hard count people and expect them to jump.
Yep. There's only 2 other games that seem to really jump out at me. The first one is the Ravens at the Colts. 1:00 game. I think that could be a very good game. I think the Colts could be very sneaky this year. They are not a bad team. They're extremely well coached. They've got a veteran quarterback with Phillip Rivers now. They've got a solid rookie running back in Jonathan Taylor. So that Colts team could be sneakily good. They're extremely well coached with Frank Wright. So
their front 4, or at least 3 of their front 4 are going to be. They're going to be. You're gonna have your hands full. Marcus Hunt, DeForest Buckner, and Justin Houston.
Yes.
Marcus Hunt is able to play D tackle, so like they can move him all around. Like they're going to be a formidable team on both sides of the ball this year.
By the way, Marcus Hunt is one of the biggest people on the planet. This guy is, I don't know. He's got that Mongolian Scandinavian blood running through him. He goes, I believe it's almost 6'10", 300 pounds or something. Like he is a mountain.
Yeah, I think he's 6'8". Basically, they just recreated the Twin Towers from San Fran.
He's
I mean, Buckner 6'7", 319, like around that frame, and then Marcus Hunt 6'8" or 6'9". So he's a big boy.
Yeah, and then they finished that week up with a Sunday night game, Saints and Bucks. Another get to see them again in primetime again. So that's going to be huge. NFL is definitely phenomenal at marketing. They know what games to get on primetime because you can believe everybody in the country, especially seeing how week 1 goes when they play each other. Somebody's going to be looking for redemption for sure. I really don't see that game ending in a tie, so that should be very, very interesting in week 9.
I just hope the Bucs can keep him standing up straight.
Yeah.
Tom Brady can be – I'm telling you, if Tom Brady's already been hit like 20-plus times by this point, they're not making it to the end of the season. Like I don't see it.
If Tom Brady's hit 20-plus times, you're going to have the front office of the NFL calling referees like, y'all better start throwing flags and keep this kid friggin' safe, man. You can believe that's a thing. You watch friggin' games that Tom Brady plays in and the way the refs are when people are around him. If dude's helmet gets breathed on, they throw a flag. And then you have other quarterbacks like Cam Newton who's getting high load, helmet to helmet, destroyed, and the ref can't find the flag. He's like, I don't know what happened to it. I tucked it in my sock and can't find it now. Like it's the way they treat certain quarterbacks who get special treatment because they happen to be the face of the NFL. You can believe that is a thing. That is absolutely a thing. They try to protect their assets. So if Tom Brady has been sacked 20 times going into week 9, people in the NFL front office are going to be up in arms. I told you, after the past 2 years, I'm starting to think that the NFL maybe not necessarily fixes games, but I think they do kind of have a say in things for sure. I think they will start to tell refs like, hey, you got to start calling more things. So moving on to week 10.
Holy cow, that's murderer's row. This is the same part of the schedule last year that San Fran was truly tested. They're going through it again this year. I mean, you have Saints, that's coming after the Packers game, which is coming after a Seahawks game. And depending on how the Patriots are playing, you can actually throw the Patriots in the back end. Because if Stidham comes out firing on all 4 cylinders, all 6 cylinders, and the Patriots are a force, San Fran would have to have gone to the Patriots, then go to Seattle, then they're at home for the Packers, but then they got to go to New Orleans right here.
Yeah, and that's the game he's talking about right now. 4:00 in New Orleans, Niners, Saints, week 10, which is, it looks like that will be the game of the week too. Nothing else in this week actually. The Thursday night game could be good, Titans and Colts. That could be a very good game as well.
Then I'll also say the same thing. Ravens, Patriots, the Sunday night game.
It's all going to depend, like you said, though, on how the Patriots actually are. If Jarrett Stidham winds up not being that good, and the Patriots are at this point, maybe 5-5 or something like that heading into that game.
Well, I mean, to me, it depends on how much the run defense had improved for the Ravens. I know they drafted Patrick Queen out of LSU to help shore the run game up. If he can be that dominant force, then okay. But to me, it's literally this is a chess match between Bill Belichick and Lamar Jackson's talent. Can he make him a thrower?
I can tell you who's going to lose that chess match. That's going to be a quick-ass chess match. I'll let you decide which one, but one of them's playing checkers and the other one's playing chess.
Yeah. The Patriots might look at what Tennessee did to them last year and just let Damian Harris off the leash and just say, hey, let's run the ball. We'll run the ball and then contain Lamar Jackson on the other side on defense and take it out of Stidham's hands if he's not playing up to snuff by then.
Well, week 10 seemed like the obviously biggest game is going to be the Niners-Saints game. And then going into week 11, you got your bye.
Yes.
So bye week 11 for the Niners if you're a Niner fan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's at least one more out there. Oh, I definitely know. My cousin Kevin, he's a big Niner fan too. So shout out to Kevin Rogers. You guys should go check him out too. He's a stuntman in Hollywood. He's got his own page, does some really cool stuff. Go check out his stuff. Kid's extremely talented, doing big things out there. So shout out to my cousin Kevin.
Oh, Scotty D. Can't forget about Scotty D.
Yeah, that goes without saying. He's a big Niner fan.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to week 11, the Thursday night game, Cardinals and Seahawks right off the bat. They start that week strong. That's going to be a good game.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? You got to think too. I think the NFL is starting to say exactly what we've been saying. And I don't know if anybody's been looking at our posts recently on Facebook, but we did a couple videos recently, and then ESPN and NFL analysts went behind last night, as a matter of fact, and posted some things that weren't just agreeing with what we were saying, but happened to just be verbatim what we said. So I made the joke. I was like, man, I feel like some of these people, because obviously we post all of these videos onto ESPN and the NFL Network. I feel like, some of the people at work, the computers for them over there, maybe watching these videos and then relaying messages to these people. Because it's one thing to agree with it, because we always said any decent football minds out there that are looking at certain things are going to see the same things that we see. And obviously these NFL analysts will see them too. So it doesn't surprise me that they're agreeing with the things that we're saying, but to relay them verbatim is a little odd. So that's a little weird to me. So I'm thinking maybe the NFL is obviously on the same page we are, and they expect the Cardinals to be pretty good this year because they're giving them big primetime games.
Yep.
So that's to me, I definitely think that could totally be a thing right now.
Yep. Nope. Like I said, that was my prediction. That's my bold prediction. If San Fran doesn't do it, Arizona will do it.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm right with you on that. I think the Cardinals are going to be a very, very good football team. Although I said I don't think for them to get in, though, one of the other teams, I told you I don't see that division being able to send 3 teams because it's so hard. They could, it's very possible, but it is very, very hard to do that. Send 3 teams out of one division, and it very rarely happens. It has happened, but it is pretty rare. So I think if the Cardinals do make it, then maybe the Seahawks don't, or who knows, maybe the Niners don't or something like that. But we both agree that we think they're going to be very, very good. And this week, week 11, has that AFC playoff rematch that you touched on earlier when you thought it was the Titans. This week, the Titans do play the Ravens. So that will be a rematch, and it's in Baltimore again. Mm-hmm. So Baltimore is going to be looking to get some revenge after getting their teeth kicked in last year in the playoffs in the game that they were heavily favored in.
Yep, especially Earl Thomas, because
yes,
what Derrick Henry made him look like on national TV is that's bad.
Yeah. Matter of fact, shout out to Earl Thomas too. Hope he's doing okay. There was a news report he was held up at gunpoint last night in his home. I guess his home got raided or something like that. And he's okay and everything, but apparently he got robbed at gunpoint. So, hope he's doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you a quick little story about how my parents probably realized that I was not going to go to college at a very young age. When I was young, I specifically remember asking my father why people keep going to gunpoint. Because I was a young kid, 5, 6 years old, something like that. And I kept seeing on the news, man held up at gunpoint, woman robbed at gunpoint, person car stolen at gunpoint. And I was just like, man, why do people keep going to that place? It's so dangerous. And it was like kind of at that moment, my dad gave me this look, and I still remember it to this day. And it was that look like, well, I might as well buy a boat because I'm definitely going to be able to save a lot of money on college. He's like, you idiot, gunpoint's not a place. It's like, oh, yeah, I guess I'm pretty stupid. Sorry. But, hey, you got a boat. You didn't have to pay for college. All right, moving on to week 12. And there's no teams on bye. Byes are pretty much over at that point. And they have – this is Thanksgiving week. So the Thanksgiving Day games are the Texans and Lions. Redskins and Cowboys. Cowboys and Lions always play on Thanksgiving. So, that's always going to be a good game, divisional game. Redskins are going to look very different this year, like we talked about. Jack Del Rio, Ron Rivera. So, we'll see where the teams are at this point. And at this point, the teams will have started to separate themselves. The truly good teams, the real deal teams will have separated from the pretenders, and we'll know who's who by then. So that should be interesting to see what the records are come week 12, and if that game actually has big divisional implications or if it's just another game. And then the game that night on Thanksgiving is the Ravens and Steelers. So another big divisional game.
Mm-hmm.
And then that Sunday, the only other game that really, really jumps off the page at you is the Chiefs and Bucks. I think that's going to be an interesting game too. And by this point, we'll know who the Bucks are, if they have started to gel or if it's going to take the entire season to get to where they obviously want it to be. And then they close up the week Monday night with the Seahawks and Eagles. So that should be an interesting game in Philly. So that should be very, very interesting. Going on to week 13. This is good because, it's like, all right, we're moving on. We got about 5 weeks left in the season. That game, Thursday night, starting off that week big. Thursday night game, Cowboys and Ravens. Jesus, Cowboys this is our 5th game in prime time so far. Man, they better not suck. Like, otherwise, this is going to be real ugly. You know what I mean? I can just imagine how bad my phone is going to be just blowing up this year if the Cowboys do turn out to just be the average team that they have been. Man, I might have to change my number, man. These people are going to be relentless on me. You should see how bad it is even when we are good. God, if we're not good, whew. But this is a very, very big game. Thursday night, Cowboys Ravens, you know, week 13. And at that point, every win matters if you're in the playoff hunt, because you're like, okay, we might need this game to possibly make the playoffs. So that is a huge game. Cowboys and Ravens in Baltimore. Ooh, wow. That's another game I could wind up going to. Any Raven fans out there want to go to a game? Let me know. I gotta go check that one out. And then I don't know about you. I didn't really see anything else that jumped off the page at you until actually the Monday night game, week 13.
Yep.
The Monday night game could be very, very interesting as well, because
the Bills are actually poised to take over.
The Bills and Niners.
Yep.
And like we said earlier, the Bills were a winning team last year. And, if anybody was a favorite to win that division now that Tom Brady is out of the AFC East, it's Buffalo, just because of what they've been the past 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. So, if they're looking to make a statement like, okay, the tides are finally changing and this, we're going to actually be the power in the AFC East, this is going to be the year that they're going to have to show it. But they've got a very tough matchup going in to play the Niners on a Monday night in Cal.
And it's definitely going to be a ground and pound kind of game too, because like I said, I mean, both teams are going to be run based, run oriented. So this is going to be which team's going to show with a better run defense and contain each other on offense as far as the passing game goes. But with Singletary and Josh Allen, who, like, oddly enough is a mobile QB, and it's kind of an Achilles heel, the kryptonite for San Francisco defenses. Like, San Fran's defense doesn't work well against mobile quarterbacks, and Josh Allen's as mobile as you can get.
Yeah. All right. And we moved on. We're into week 14 now. And this is actually the first week I can legitimately say I didn't really see anything that jumped off the page at me. No, like, ooh, that's, those are 2 really good teams. And also, this can all change because we don't know, everybody's guessing right now. Nobody's got a crystal ball. Professional analysts, we're doing the same thing. Obviously, you do as much research as you can to try to figure out who is going to be good. But going off of what we know right now, this week doesn't necessarily. This looks like probably the weakest week we've had for matchups. Nothing really jumps out at you. You have the Patriots and Rams playing on that Thursday night. And then the rest of them are just kind of average matchup. Nothing that you're like, wow, these 2 teams, could really give each other a problem or anything like that. I guess the biggest game that week, honestly, I think would probably be the Saints and Eagles. Quite possibly the Ravens or Browns too on Monday night.
I mean, we'll also say Saints Eagles because, I mean, both teams are usually, they're on the positive side of 500 ball.
Mm-hmm.
And you're expecting both teams to have tight races in their divisions. Like you would assume that Tampa Bay is going to be right on New Orleans' heels. And, of course, with Philly, you'll have, the Cowboys. So that might be one that could help the other, help each team get behind or, help teams in their division get caught up. If say the Saints and Tampa Bay were neck and neck and they lose to Philly, then Tampa Bay is the number 1 team and stand a better chance of getting into the playoffs. And New Orleans hoping that they manage to get in by wild card beans, and then vice versa for the Eagles. Like you had that stretch last year where if any one of those teams lost twice in a row, they were done. and they just happen to be like seesawing with each other.
Yeah. And moving on, week 15 is going to be my favorite week so far. Week 15, the only game, again, that jumps off the paper because it's just like the week before. Sunday night, Niners at Cowboys.
You know whose house I'm going to be at?
Yep. That's going to be interesting.
Chiefs Saints. 4:25 Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Chiefs Saints. I mean, because at one point for a lot of people that they may agree with you and they think that might be the Super Bowl for this year.
That's who I picked.
You know, had Minnesota not upset them in their divisional round, you know, it could have been that last year. It could have been Saints playing the Chiefs, you know, for a Super Bowl matchup or for a Super Bowl title. You know, so that might be a good game, and it's in New Orleans, so we'll see how Patrick Mahomes handle the noise there.
Actually, both 4:00 games and the Sunday night game are both very, very good. Eagles and Cardinals, Chiefs, Saints, Niners, Cowboys. So the late end of week 15 is going to be good. And even the Monday night game, Steelers and Bengals could be pretty good depending on how Joe Burrow's season has turned out.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, moving on to week 16. Week 15, though, it's on, boy. Like I said, I know whose house it's going to be at. Ain't going to be mine. Unless you want to get hit with a brick or something. Actually, who knows? Depending on how that game goes, I might want you there.
Mm-hmm. That's the only reason why I know I'll be there. For sure.
Uh-huh.
You don't want to rub it in personally.
Yep. Christmas. There's actually a Christmas Day game.
Yeah,
Vikings Saints on Christmas on a Friday game. That's different. Niners Cardinals, and I like how they put to be determined as far as time and all that kind of stuff, because obviously they're thinking the Cardinals could be a very good team this year, and that could easily turn into be a flex game where they're going to flex that to prime time because they want to see, you know, who is who at that point.
Yep.
And then week 16, Cowboys, Eagles too. That game could very well be for the division.
Yep. Well, at this point, 16, 17, this could also be for seed. You know, you got a tight race on who's going to be the number one seed, and it's like last year again, where you lose, you go from 1 to 5 or 1 to 6. You know.
Yep. Yeah. So obviously that game is going to have huge implications for the NFC East unless one of those teams just happens to be a dud this year. And then it won't matter. And then going on to week 17, we know this is same as week 1. It's divisional week. You always play your division rivals week 17. So week 17 is going to be all of your divisions playing each other. So, and yeah, here it is. It just pulled up. So, yeah, literally you have Dolphins, Bills, Saints, Panthers, Jags, Colts, Titans, Texans, Packers, Bears, Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns, Vikings, Lions, Chargers at the Chiefs. Yeah, well, okay. Jets, Patriots, Cowboys, Giants. So, you know, this is actually the first year I want to say the Cowboys didn't open their season against the Giants in a very long time. I honestly think it's been like the past 3 out of 5 years. We always open up in New York, but this year we don't play the Giants till actually like week 5 or something on a Monday night. So finishing the season with them in New York as well. We'll be at that one. we're definitely. I love it. Cowboys are actually playing on the East Coast a bunch this year, so definitely get a chance to get out there and see them. You've got that same thing too, and they finished that week very strong. The 4:00 game, Seahawks Niners, just like last year. And I don't know if anybody remembers that, but that game literally came down to the last second of the game to see who won the division and who wild carded in. And it had such big implications because not only did the winner win a division, but they won the 2nd seed in the NFC and was able to get a bye and home field advantage. And the other team got the 5th seed and had to go on the road. So that was a huge, huge game.
Yeah, so especially with San Fran getting that 1 seed, having the number 1 overall seed, basically hitting a break. Like I said, they had a week 4 bye, so they was basically on a 12-game tear, all the way through. And then, with, like I said, that murderer's row where they end up playing Seattle, Baltimore, the Saints back to back to back, and along with tough divisional games with, the Cardinals and the Rams.
And I tell you what, I swear that Niners Seahawks Week 17 game last year was literally a carbon copy of I believe it was the 1998 Super Bowl, where it was the Rams versus Tennessee.
Yep.
Because the way the game ended with the Seahawks wide receiver getting tackled at the 1 foot line, the goal line, to win the game, but the ball never touched the goal line, and it ended just like that. Like literally 12 inches separated the Seahawks from playing at home, and who knows how the playoffs work out, and the Niners going on the road. So that was a absolutely crazy finish to the NFC West last year in Week 17, coming down to literally the last second. And I always say it's funny because, you got to play 17 games to get to that point. You're like, damn, it ended with, a guy getting tackled on the 1 foot mark. You could have saved everybody 17 weeks. You guys could have just played week 1 and be like, all right, whoever wins this game gets home field advantage. You know what I mean? Like, save everybody 17 weeks and a lot of injuries. So, yeah, so that's the NFL season. And besides for, I believe it was week 14, every week had really multiple very solid games with good opponents that are going to be very, very fun to watch. So season looks good, baby. Week 15. I will see you there.
Yeah.
It's going to be big. So obviously we're super excited. Hopefully this pandemic is over in time and the season will start on time. Otherwise, obviously, it's going to throw a gargantuan monkey wrench in the season and dates and people playing. And obviously it should, because people's safety comes first. This is a football game. This is so minute compared to, a virus out there that's killing, hundreds of thousands of people. So let the government get that under control, and then we'll start back up with the fun and stuff like that. But as soon as it does get under control and everybody's safe to be around each other again, then yeah, there's going to be some really, really good games to get out there and watch. So I'm pretty excited about how this year looks in general. So I think it's going to be a very, very fun year. And I have the strength of schedules in front of me, and I went through a few. I told you who has the top 5 hardest, where it's the Patriots, Jets, Dolphins, Niners, and Falcons have the top 5 hardest. And then the 5 easiest are the Redskins, Browns, Cowboys, Steelers, and Ravens. So Cowboys actually have the 3rd easiest strength of schedule. And obviously this is, like I said prior, going off of last year's teams and how many games they won. So they go by win percentage and stuff like that. And they re-release these, the same thing I'm looking at every single week, because as teams start to win and lose, then obviously your strength of schedule is going to change, because you could have somebody who's, like the Ravens, who on paper right now have the easiest schedule in the league. But say those same teams are good this year, then obviously their strength of schedule is going to change dramatically. So yeah, should be a very good year.
Yep. Hey, but on the notes, when you brought the who's got the easiest schedule, who's got the hardest schedule, being this an inaugural year for the 17-game schedule, who you think has got a good shot at going 17-0? Just shot in the dark.
Oh, well,
who's going to do it?
No. This is the same year. It's always been a 17-week season, bro. 16 games and then a 1-week bye. Next year, the 18-game season is the inaugural season. This is the year that they brought in an extra playoff team.
No.
But right off the bat, if you want to just throw out there who I think has a chance to possibly go undefeated by I'm probably going to go with the I just want to see what their strength of schedule is. Yeah. I'm going to go with the Chiefs. talking about a 2-loss team last year, and now they're in the bottom of the pack. They're right there about the middle. They've got oh no, they are. They're literally right in the middle, 16th. They're ranked 16th, so their schedule's not real hard and it's not real easy. I mean, if you really want to do it, you could say the Ravens, because the Ravens have the easiest schedule in the league, and obviously they were a 3-loss team last year. So, you know, you go with those easy odds. You're just taking everything you got. I mean, the Saints too. The Saints have 24th, so that's something that you could look at as well. But if I see anybody going undefeated, I think you got to take the Chiefs. I mean, just look at who they are and what they did last year. You know, they can come back at any moment. They don't need a lot of time to do it. You know, they can be down by 10 with 7 minutes, and 7 minutes later they won the game by 10. So that is a super hard flop like that. And it's not like they did it once. You know, they did it 3 times in a row. So who would you think goes undefeated?
My boys.
God. Okay.
Hey, it's like with not counting the Super Bowl. I mean, said the 3 losses they had, 2 of them was by a field goal, and 1 was a last-second prayer. You know, basically the Seattle game that went against them. You know, with old boy getting tackled at the goal line, but was able to push and have the ball just touch. So, and when you look at it, it's almost the same identical schedule. They played New Orleans last year in New Orleans. They played Green Bay, you know, last year in Levi. They got the same 2 teams again.
You're
in
such
exact
a
same positions.
You're such a homer.
Only thing is San Fran. They also gotten better with their wide receiver core. They're getting 2 healthy guys back.
You know what? But the only problem is it's impossible to go undefeated when you lose week 15. So good luck with that.
Okay.
That ain't gonna happen.
That problem.
So
remember last, y'all got to figure out if y'all can beat teams with winning records this year.
I'm like, do you have anything you want to say that's actually realistic, or was that it?
Oh, whatever. You know, good and well, Dak don't do good under pressure. And we're bringing that pressure.
I know one thing. Every time we play an undefeated team, we ruin their undefeated season, though. I did it to the Saints when they were 10-0, walked into their house and smacked them in the face. Did it to the Seahawks, walked into their house when they were 10-0, smacked them in the face. So I welcome undefeated teams.
That's the thing.
Where was that Cowboy?
You have to go into their house.
Where was that Week 15 game?
It's in Dallas.
It's in Dallas?
It's in Dallas. Damn. Y'all don't play good at home.
Damn, I was hoping it was
better on the road.
That was under Garrett, though. Under Garrett, we couldn't play at home.
Okay.
All right. All right, we'll continue this argument off camera. Nobody wants to hear us argue. So, all right, guys, we appreciate you watching. Enjoy this season. You know, leave some comments. Let us know who your teams are. You know, what jumped out at you, what you like. And, you know, we'll catch you for the next video, which, as always, will probably be tomorrow. And we'll bring you some more content. So appreciate you guys watching. Enjoy the season. Deuces. Stay safe out there.